right here. I
Yeah.
say that one more time, bro, because now it's just started recording.
I don't feel like there's a loss of respect between black male and female. I don't feel like there's a loss of respect.
Okay, how do you feel about that, man?
I feel as a black female, there is a huge loss of respect. Like I feel that black women are not protected and loved as they should be. Like we're sort of on the lower end. We're at the bottom of the totem pole, and we don't really have that support of our counterparts as we should. Like it doesn't feel like that.
How do you feel about that, bro?
I mean, see, you're speaking for everyone. You can't speak for everyone on that.
I mean, like I'm not speaking. I know I can only speak for myself and the
Yeah,
conversations that I've had with my friends. But as you know, the women in my life, we don't feel protected by black men. Like it's a sense of frustration because when you look at the image that is portrayed out there, when you look at the comments under certain videos, black women are very frustrated because we see black men gravitating to other, not all of them, but a good number. Like when you're successful, it's almost as though you have to get a woman that is exotic or that's other. And you look under those comments and you see a lot of black women that are very frustrated. And then when you look, and the response from those black men is one where this is the reason why, because y'all all, here come the bitter black women committee and another, like it's very frustrating and disheartening and hurtful. And so to hear a lot of the males and that surround me, they kind of don't say it, but their actions do. And it's almost a sense of, and it's not what you say, but it's what you do. Like my brother, my god brother is overseas, and the pictures that he sends me of women that he finds attractive, they're always others. And so when I ask him about that, it's like, well, why are you upset? Because, you don't really typically fall in that category of a typical black girl. Like, people think that you got something other in you anyway, so why are you upset? And that's not a compliment. Or when black men compliment a black woman, it's so funny to hear them say, well, you're very beautiful. What are you mixed with? Like, as if that beauty has to come from something other than being black.
yeah, that's understandable. I hate that myself, and that's that even that right there, that just boils down to self hatred. Whether that man got it from being abused by a black woman, which can happen, or whether he just heard his mother or sister or anybody just always talk bad about black women. Period.
So I get,
But just to piggyback off what you said about these entertainers, whether they're football players, rappers, whatever. If you think about it, yeah, we see a lot of those, especially football players, basketball players. They go out and they get what you would call an other, right?
hmm,
If you think about this, those NFL players, NBA players, most of them come from nothing. If you think about it, a lot of them guys are coming from low income housing, and you know what comes with low income housing. You got your black women. Some black women are angry because they're just oppressed as the man is. So if you got a man growing up, all he ever had was an angry black woman at home for whatever reason that was. Yeah, they be their choice is to try something different.
so, but I mean, like, let's take into account that
Hmm.
you have an angry black woman at home, but what is missing in that home? Because that woman didn't create that child by herself.
Exactly. But remember, I said low income housing. I didn't say just a black, you know, a strong black family that has everything in line. I'm talking about when I say low income housing, I'm talking about Section 8 homes, project homes, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Of course, if you have that type of thing, you can't have a black man at home. You can't have a man at home, period. Or you don't get that.
Oh,
I
I'm
know we're
so
kind of
glad you
jumping off
mentioned
subject
that.
here, but that's what I'm talking about. Just imagine if you got a young kid that came up
Hold on,
in that
you
type of
sound a little muffled,
environment.
bro.
Me, oh, I'm sorry. How about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Just imagine if you got a black boy coming up in that environment and he's seeing all this stuff that's going on from an angry black woman for whatever reason. He's gonna shy away from that when he can, which I still don't agree with. Don't get me wrong, I don't agree with it at all. But I'm just saying that's how a lot of these entertainers end up getting with other women because they don't been through so much stuff with a black woman, whether it's mama or whatever. But like I said, I don't condone that at all.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I don't know. I know you said you only had about like 5 minutes because I know I'm really about to like go in.
Go
So,
ahead, yeah.
that brings me up to the Willie Lynch letter because I know
Okay.
Lucky and I we were talking about it, and as I was reading it, it's crazy because historians are trying to say that the Willie Lynch letter is not real. And like I was mentioning to him, well, of course, historians are mostly white men, but the accuracy of the contents is really scary almost because when you look at it, it talks about breaking the Negro like you're breaking horses. And it talks about how you can take the male, and I'm gonna just say Negro. I'm not gonna say what they said because it's a little too hard.
Mhm.
But you take the male Negro away from the female Negro, and you have her eating out of your hand, which we look at that as welfare, Section 8, TANF, all of those benefits. And then she brings up her offspring to eat out of your hand. And you are supposed to break that male Negro by first killing one of them. You tar and feather them in front of the female Negro and her offspring. And then you take another male Negro and you beat him to the point of death, but you don't kill him. You just put the fear of God in him. So therefore, he is scared of you. And they start off a generation. They say you don't focus on that generation. You focus on the generation that's coming after that. So now you have a female Negro who is afraid of the white man, and she's raising her children to be afraid of the white man. And then it talks about how you create an axis where she will raise her female offspring to be psychologically strong and afraid of the white man. And in return, she will make her male offspring psychologically weak but physically strong, therefore creating a turn of responsibilities where her female will now stand in that male role and the male will stand in that female role. And so the female ultimately will protect the white man from that strong black Negro that they have broken, or he kind of frees his mind to say, oh no, you can't get to him, because she's afraid of what will happen to him because she's seen the beating and the death of the males that are close to her. And she's raising a generation to be scared, and it creates a whole cycle. So when we talk about like these broken homes, I think about that. But then it also has a clause in there where it talks about crossbreeding, and it says that you will take it says to use the females, but it's so crazy because now in this generation they're using like the black males to do it, but you dilute the blood with white blood to create different levels of skin complexions and to have them get further and further away from who they really are. Because if you're confused about who you are, you will not be as likely to rise up against them. And the whole letter is heartbreaking. But when we look at our society, that's exactly what's happening. So when me and Lucky were talking about the whole interracial relationship, and I got really frustrated and upset because I said, as a black woman, I don't feel protected. I don't feel like black men find black women desirable, because every time I look, it's always a bash fest. It's what you don't do, it's what I don't do, and it's very frustrating. And then to look at something like that, it's basically telling the world how to put us against each other, and to make sure that as a race, we never, ever come together and we never form. Because it says that the Negro in its natural form is the most dangerous animal on earth. And I know we're not animals, but to see that, it's like, that we're strong, but we're only as strong as our black men in our households. So when you do that crossbreeding, where you're diluting your blood and you're going to something else, you're going away from who you are. And therefore, it's tearing apart our households. It's tearing apart generations. And in return, we don't love each other. We don't protect each other. And it's frustrating because in the news, when you see a black man who has been wronged, what do you normally see rallying and petitioning and picketing for this man? You see a field of black women, a force field, like just going strong. But when you look at when a black woman has been wronged, you look at who's behind there and you see another force field of black women. And you might see some black men, but they don't come, like, black men don't come out in droves like that for black women. And that's what I say where we're not protected. When I look at those things, when I look at the facts that are presented to us, when we need that, like black women have to be our own biggest cheerleaders for each other. That's why we have Black Girl Magic, because we have to find a way to celebrate each other because nobody else is doing it.
I kind of don't agree with that, because like I said, it's like you just can't put everybody in one category with that. You can't say all black men or
not all, but I mean, when you look at it though, it's not all, but numbers don't lie. Like, do you see a force full of black men rallying for these things? Like, you hear about a few of them, but we don't at the rallies. They don't come out.
Tell me one of the situations you're talking about.
Okay, so outside of Sandra Bland, make sure I get this name correct.
Okay.
There was a young lady who was shot in her apartment in front of her son. And at that point, there was rallies, and when you look at the pictures, it's mostly black women. Let me make sure I get her name correct. And that was when the conversations between me and my friends started, because it was like, where are the black men at? Because this is around the time when you had Michael Brown, Sandra Bland. Like, it was a string of events that had happened. And the young lady was on, it wasn't Facebook Live. Was it Facebook Live? It was something, but it was videotaped. Like, she was recording it. And it was just sort of like, okay, so.
She got shot?
Yeah, the police came in. She had a baby in the room. She was murdered.
All right, now, so you saying this is around the same time the Michael Brown incident happened?
It was
right?
around like a few years. It was like in that whole little cluster.
Do you know how much stuff was in that cluster?
Yeah, it was a whole lot.
Are you talking about Corrine Gaines?
So,
that's it, yeah.
Corrine Gaines. I never heard of this story, period.
It was on the nose like crazy.
There's several that I haven't heard of.
Yeah,
I've never heard of that.
I'm looking at it now. It says the shooting of Corrine Gaines occurred on August 1st, 2016. In
what city was this?
Randallstown, Maryland.
Randallstown, Maryland.
Near Baltimore.
Yeah,
okay,
she did. It was a standoff, and because even her son got.
Oh yeah,
hit
it says
by
she
a
was
bullet.
cradling her son in a shotgun.
And it was a lot of like rallies about it. Now, one thing about like I just to give you some background about me, like I am very passionate about situations like this because I'm all about like, you know, we have to be there for our people. So this is like those current events that happen with us. It's a lot of things that, you know, we just kind of forget about as time goes on.
Okay, here it says.
Yeah, I didn't hear about that.
I'm sitting up here reading it now.
Okay, go ahead.
It says around 3 p.m. Around 3 p.m. after several hours of negotiating, police says Gaines raised the gun at officers and told them that she would kill them if they did not leave. The officer opened fire. Perceiving her, not only her actions but the words she used, we discharged one round at her. In turn, she fired several rounds back at us. Oh wow!
But they were violating. She wasn't at fault because her family won like millions.
Yeah, I remember the lawsuit. Yeah, her family did win that lawsuit.
Like tens of millions of dollars.
That I do remember her family winning because they said it didn't have to happen like that.
Exactly. Like
and your issue with this is you didn't usually see enough black men supporting her or, you know, whatever, right?
Because there were rallies, like especially here in Atlanta, we have a lot of rallies and everything like that. And so when you go out, you see like who is mostly there. And you see who is largely absent. And so a lot of the forums and me, I also am very heavy with the politics here as well. So like one of the things that and I can't say their names, but some of the politicians that I'm close to, they're getting frustrated because it's like, well, where are our men?
You know where your men are? You know where your men are? In jail. That's where they are. That's why you don't see as many men as you do women with stuff like that. Probably because they're all in jail.
They're not all in jail. So just like you told
I
me that I
mean,
can't generalize all, you can't.
you're right,
There
but
is a
that
huge, a
ratio,
large number of black men, especially in Atlanta. There are educated men. Like I'm not gonna that cop out cannot happen. There is a large, and that's just like I told Lucky. We have to have some type of accountability. Like you have to be. There is no type of accountability. You're not showing up. Like you're not showing up. Like I could ask you, I could ask my co-host here, how many times have you went to a rally about the social issues in your community or dealing with your black women?
hey, I've never been.
And so I could tell you as somebody who is going to these rallies, there's not a very large presence of black men. And sometimes there is no presence. And it's disheartening. And it's very disheartening because the invites are going out, but nobody's showing up like they should. And you have your few handfuls. And that's why I say, like, black men are a force to be reckoned with. The white man is afraid of black men stepping into their power and their purpose. But the thing about it is, like, just like the Willie Lynch letter says.
Hey, look.
Yeah.
I don't mean to cut y'all off, but I kind of got to go, man.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I do want to get. I want to get back onto another session with you guys because I still got a whole lot I want to say.
Okay. All right, man. Well,
Okay,
we
man.
appreciate
I
you.
appreciate the calling. Yeah.
Yes, sir.